I have the distinct pleasure this evening of introducing the featured speaker, Brenden Butler. Brenden is a truly remarkable young man with a great, inspiring story and an attitude that all of us should emulate on a daily basis. I'm excited for him to walk up to the stage this evening. Please join me in welcoming Brenden up here.
Well, first off, I would like to thank the 1 Million for Anna Foundation for making this event possible tonight. Also, a special thanks to all of you who came out to support such a great cause. I first heard of this foundation when I attended John Paul II High School, Anna's alma mater. The Bassos shared their story and why they feel it's important at an assembly that the whole school attended. It was rather moving and very emotional. They also had a special guest speaker who, if I remember correctly, was the survivor, Gina Compton, who even after all she had been through, also chose to work for this great cause. It's probably safe to say that I am one of the only people who knew what the disease was before being diagnosed. It also meant it knew who I needed to reach out to, and all this time later, I'm very glad that I did. I've been fighting Ewing's for almost 9 months now, and I'm very grateful to say that I have just 1 cycle left. I was diagnosed at the end of January after I had an orthopedic surgery to remove what the doctor initially thought was a bone cyst in the 4th metatarsal of my left foot. Pathology tests found that the cyst was actually a tumor. Before my surgery, the tumor had grown to overtake the entire bone, about the size of a walnut, and ended up fracturing it. Not only was the type of cancer rare, but the location in my foot was also an unusual place to find it. I've been an athlete my whole life, and injuries were always a normal part of it. So it was very hard to hear that this was a lot bigger than just another sports injury. I was diagnosed on a Sunday, and by Tuesday, I was admitted to Medical City Children's Hospital for further testing. We did all the initial scans to check for metastatic disease. The PET scan came back with some spots in my lungs, so the doctors decided to do a biopsy. While the surgery sucked, the news was great that the spots were all benign. That Sunday, which also happened to be Super Bowl Sunday, I started treatment. The next few months went as scheduled, doing chemo about every other week. And around the end of April, the time came to make a decision on what kind of surgery would give me the best chance of survival to remain the remaining Ewing cells. And because of the location in my foot, the limb salvage was a very risky option that would leave the functionality of my foot questionable. The only other option was a below-knee amputation. So after multiple opinions and family discussion, it was clear that the amputation was the best option. So on May 24th, I had my surgery and became an amputee. Now I'm sitting here with my new prosthesis. I've only had it for about 12 days or so, and I know that I made the best decision. I started the second phase of chemo about the second week in June, and after a few grueling months, here I am. And while it feels like I've lost a part of my life, I've realized I've gained so much more than I could ever lose. So I'd like to share with you what's important to me and why. I hope that you all walk away from this with something to remember, not just for someone fighting the disease, but for any hardship faced in life. The days are long, but the weeks feel short. Months sound like years to you, and time just doesn't feel real. You try to remember what you did the last few days, but your brain just doesn't seem to be working. It's almost like being in a dream and trying to remember how you got there. Although this is real life, and it's more of a nightmare. The pain is constantly there to remind you that you're sick, but not from what you're diagnosed with, but from what they say is saving you. These times can be hard, and just when things feel okay, you're reminded of the normal life you can't have. Not yet, anyways. So you wait. You fill your days either lying in bed at home trying to deal with the side effects, or lying in bed at the hospital, unwillingly taking the treatment that you know will tear you to shreds. These moments are hard, not just for you, but for everyone around you. And it takes a toll on you that you didn't even know you were capable of giving. And in these moments, you do a lot of thinking, more than you probably should. You know it's hard, and there's no way around that, yet you still wish it was easy. So when it doesn't get easier, you may lose a little hope, maybe a little confidence, and you just want it to end. So you think some more, lay around a little longer, and feel even more disgusted every time you walk into that sterile-smelling hospital room. You've hit the low. You find yourself in a valley surrounded by huge, intimidating mountains. And it's in that low you realize who you really are and what you're really about. You have only two options: stay in that valley and give up, or find the motivation and the courage to climb the mountain and pull yourself out of that awful place. Giving up is simple. You just sit there and wait. Getting out is difficult and requires that you give more than you want to. And as these metaphors of mountains and valleys drift away and you come back to reality, you realize that to come out of this low, you need to utilize the tools around you. And I'm not talking about grapples, ropes, and harnesses. I'm talking about the people. The people you surround yourself with are the most important people in your journey back to life. You realize the only one getting in your way is you. That exact moment is when things will start to change. That goes for all of life. You work with what you have, make the most of every opportunity, and live in a way that shows goodness to everyone. This foundation is the perfect example of taking what probably seem like the worst moments in someone's life and turning them into something greater than any one person can ever be. The people here tonight are like no other. Never in my life did I think that I would experience firsthand what a cancer foundation does for those fighting the disease. I know now at this point that I would not want it any other way. The people here gave me the tools necessary to fight hard and remember there's an end to the madness. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But the people here have such unbelievably big hearts that they don't care how difficult a task is, they're going to do it. So this is where I say thank you to my doctors, nurses, and everybody here supporting the 1 Million for Anna Foundation, especially Mr. and Mrs. Basso. But most importantly, I thank my family for never giving up or losing hope, even in the tough times. That's what we as people are made to do. Take the experiences and turn them into something good, something bigger than ourselves, so that someday that kid diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma will have nothing to worry about, and that someday we'll look back at the immense number of people we helped and feel that same goodness we spread to so many others. Thank you.
So we have a little surprise for Brenden. Brenden is an avid hockey player and fan, and so we have a lovely signed jersey for him right here that he did not know about until this very moment. So Brenden, thank you so much. Another big round of applause for Brenden. Thank you.